Hello again and welcome to my channel. Now, if you've seen my previous videos, I want to say congratulations. We reached the step where we're now in the fifth dimension. So that video that I put out and all the work that you did, consciously or unconsciously, regarding the things that I talked about, really as a collective, we've pushed through um, to a fifth dimensional existence. Ever so slightly now we're where we're supposed to be, okay? We've taken that first step, so to speak, in the right direction, which is great. Okay. Now the Galactics are saying that the way that humanity has been consciously or unconsciously conditioned to live and to work and play on Earth, what we have here today. They know that you need a sense of a score, so they were giving you a B minus. It almost felt like we're saying a B, and I think I pressed a little more because it was just a little confusing. They said 79.8, a numerical. For them, it's just pass or fail, okay? And they're also adding that humanity needs this kind of encouragement. So continue to practice my previous video and, just be consciously minded of the things that I said then. What will happen is that you'll realize and you'll see that the third dimensional existence has its way of conducting itself will become more apparent to you. You'll see it more as it plays out in front of you. Just be consciously aware, okay? So basically what they're saying in a way is that since you've reached or crossed that line, humanity is on the fifth dimensional path permanently, and I can just say that you've ascended. But now we need to reach a level of consciousness enlightenment so that we can continue our journey going forward, right? As a collective, as a group. What they're saying is that we have all taken a step in the ladder. So when you have a cosmic event where there's an ascension process, there's the in and out breath of creation, right? Then third dimension goes to fourth, fourth goes to fifth, and so on. Fifth, sixth, and sixth goes to seventh. I'd like to talk about that a little more because there's information at all levels that I want to talk to you about. So I'll be talking about 3 and 4th a little bit, 4th and 5th a little bit, 5th and 6th a little bit here and there. So the step has been taken. We've taken that one step up and we did it. So that's what I wanted you to go on about. I'm going to be speaking now about the journey and the clarion call that was answered for Earth as it asked and sent out the call to the universe for help, and how mostly all star nations and beings responded to incarnate here on Earth to assist Earth in its ascension process, which is going with right now. I'm going to reference a Pleiadian in these examples because this is our closest star nation cousins, and as a contactee, they're the most interested in wanting us to be part of a higher consciousness and no longer any Draco reptilian, world domination agenda they may be out there. And I don't like to talk about those kind of subjects in the news that we're all aware of that's going on right now. I'd like to thank you for that. So I made an illustration. It's I'm not Van Gogh here, but here we have, let's see, I'll get the camera right. Fifth dimension, fourth dimension, and third. I'm using the triangle as a learning or a tool so I can explain this a little better. Here it says junk DNA, and it says physical angel. It says ebb and flow. It says counterbalance, negative plus. So I got this and I just jotted it down. I put it in context for you guys. And this is not altered in any way. I wanted to make it better, but I could. But I just like to dish it out how I get it. I don't like to put my taint the information I get with my own personal opinions, because then I'll be writing a whole book. All right. Basically, we're in the physical. Our goals are to be in the fifth dimension. And as we ebb and flow between these two levels, you're going to feel a moment of absolute bliss where you feel there's no time, there's no space. It's just an absolute level of existence that you'd want for yourself. And then you only kind of realize where you are until you finally begin to go down. And as you go down, you realize there's a place that's pure bliss somewhere out there, and I want that for myself. And a lot of us experience it. Maybe we don't realize it. I mean, I like for you to think about it this way. You could be sitting in front of the TV watching something, and then just for that split second, it almost feels like the show ended. And, you ask yourself, where did that half an hour go? And I didn't even feel that it was that long before the show ended. Okay, those sort of things happen. Once in a while, you get into that phase where you blink for a second, like, whoa, it's only been 5 seconds, and it felt like I've lived through 10 minutes of my life. It's just disappeared somewhere. I had that experience before. So basically, that's that. I'm trying to get as much of information out as possible. So this video is going to probably be lengthy and unfortunately technical. So because of this example, and since we are in the physical 3D, we also have experienced 4D, and we're going to move on to a fifth dimensional experience. This allows me to explain something so that you understand the context. So Gaia's clarion call for those that are brave and valiant to be here and dig her out of this hole where the reptilians have been, consuming her resources and other things as well. Now, there are beings that are born in the fifth dimensional existence, and these beings have never experienced 4 or 3D at all. There are beings that don't experience any lower dimension. You're just born 5th or 6th dimensional beings. Okay? Now, the Pleiadians want to add this part to it because it's important. It's going to put this into context. Okay? So keep in mind the clarion call from Mother Gaia for us to be here and liberate her. So this is what they want you to know. 5D existence is protected. It's a level where love exists in words that pale in comparison. As I mentioned, that blissful state. That 5th dimension is protected without influence from 4th or 3rd dimension. Keep that in mind. Okay? Some beings are in charge of bringing consciousness group collective souls to 5D existence. There are a group of people that like to go into these scenarios where there isn't much of a conscious evolution and help out in ways that they're allowed through cosmic laws to progress that race. It's what makes them feel happy in the things that they want to do. Okay, that's their tasks. Alright, so moving on. The Pleiadians frivolously protect their 5th dimensional place of existence. The reason is, and what they continue to say through me here is, they continue to protect the 5th dimensional place of existence well enough that higher dimensional beings can incarnate there. And what I mean, of course, it has to be a 6th dimensional being that incarnates in the 5th dimensional existence. And I don't want to go further to say more dimensions, but obviously that's the next one up. So that's the one that would actually come down naturally. That's what they're explaining. I also have a higher consciousness, maybe 8th dimensional message here, which absolutely makes no sense at all. I'm just going to say this at the end of the video because I feel that it just needs to go out. And I think I understood some of it in one way or another. So the Pleiadians are now saying that because we're the contactees and we're the ones that came here to save or liberate Gaia, they're saying that we're going to start to remember all memories of this life, and eventually we'll start to remember past lives as well. Okay, this depends on your level and how quickly you can adapt to the new frequencies. I like for you to keep that in mind. Now, they are saying, now the Pleiadians are saying specifically, so I feel like I'm getting different messages from just different Pleiadian beings at a time. So that's why the wording and the way that they express themselves through me, and as I'm reading it to you guys, it's different because it doesn't quite seem like it's just one individual, as an example. They're saying, don't feel discouraged at first when making first contact. At first, it would be minimal, telepathy and non physical. What they're saying here is that depending on how quickly humanity's consciousness and awake from its slumber would be, they're saying they're going to gradually make contact with individuals, right? I want to go back to the clarion call with Gaia because it feels like it needs to be mentioned as I say this. The individuals that drop down from the fifth to go to fourth and to third, which is where we are now, okay? The third dimensional person does not use telepathy, okay? Fourth dimensional beings start to do that more consciously, so to say. So they're saying is that they're going to use the light workers, light warriors, janitors as their litmus test to see how well they're treated amongst the population so they can gauge how much contact they can make. I'm not saying they won't. They're just not going to appear to you if your conscious evolution isn't at a match where you can accept where you're going to be seen in front of you. So they're going to start with telepathy. And those that did come from fifth to fourth and third physical dimensions here, that drop down to third from the fifth dimension, those are individuals that will be contacted by your galactic family. So start waking up, and they're going to start making contact with you through telepathy at first. So they're using us to gauge the world in general as to how they can start this process of making that kind of contact. Because their attitude is very simple. If, as me as an example, if you start asking me questions about things, which I wouldn't mind answering, they want to know, well, how much are they asking you because they're just curious, and how much is it that you're resonating within yourself so you can have the answers, trusting your intuitiveness and trusting your heart and following your heart so you can continue to make the heartfelt decisions instead of just using your brain to think about things in a and I'm saying mechanical way, a sort of how your brain would think, right? Your reptilian side of the brain would think about certain situations. So this attitude, the Galactics understand, is a behavior that is programmed deep in the consciousness of humanity. So they know that we are undoubtedly going to the next person of authority and ask that person, hey, what do I do now? What do I do now? Right? We're used to going to someone and say, well, what do I do? What's the next step? Well, I'm here to tell you that they want you to look for, that they know that you're programmed to look for answers outside of yourself. Okay? Once you start looking for answers within, is when they'll start to notice that your consciousness is going to grow and that you'll be able to then make, according to what they feel is right, the kind of contacts. Maybe you'll be meeting the right people, you'll get in touch with intuitively with nature, you start to realize things about yourself or old patterns and behaviors that you don't resonate with. These are the things that they're going to be looking for so they can start making this kind of contact. So also, they're saying that yes, there will be leaders for on occasions. Generally, obviously, there needs to be a go-to person for you to figure out what to do. That's not what they're saying is that's not going to be a rule where there won't be any leaders to guide a populace. All right. But also they add, generally, if you just continue to have free will, When you understand the basic laws of creation and follow galactic etiquette, then all should be well. So they're putting it together by saying these three things, and you should be just fine. Okay? So, like I said, most of us contact these are litmus tests so they can gauge how humanity is going to interact with higher dimensional beings. Okay? And they're adding here, they will take care to move along at a pace that achieves the right outcome. So that's what they'll do, which I just pretty much explained to you. Your galactic families are waiting for you. They want you to wake up, because those that did not go from the fifth dimension down to third and just did not answer the clarion call for Earth, they're still up there. They don't know the things that you and I know, when what it feels like to be here, okay, and go through the processes to bringing Earth back to its pristine 5D existence. Okay? So they're waiting for each and every one of you at your own pace to wake up. Okay? I feel deeply that this is the next step, okay, as we move along. Okay? So depend on you to teach them what you've learned from eons of time in the lower dimensions. So think about a 25,000 year cycle where you can ascend. And is it impossible to do so? No, I don't think so. Is it likely that within one 25,000 year cycle you'll go up? So this is why I make a reference to your past lives and your current life of remembering things about who you truly are. You've been here on this planet going through a liberation process for eons of time. Okay? So those who've answered the clarion call and wanted to forget, learn, and remember, and reunite with your galactic family, okay? They're waiting for you to teach them about the things that they didn't actually do for themselves, okay? Things that we went down the proverbial rabbit hole for. So you're coming back, they're going to make contact with you in a fifth dimensional existence, and they're just going to say, tell me everything. You know, you're my cousin, you're my brother, you're my whatever part of the family you might be from. I want to know because I didn't want to go there, but you can tell me about it. That's their treat. Tell me. You know, you go on an excursion and, you know, your brother calls you, oh, this is great. Well, don't say it no more. Get over here. Tell me everything. I want to know for myself. I want to hear from you what you went through. They can't wait for you to tell them. Okay? So don't disregard any experience as a mortal loss or any gain or moment of happiness as something that you won't be able to relate to or your family. That's not the case. Okay. But basically, that's it. So, a lot more stuff that I wrote that's a little more personal to me. But I'm going to go back to that, I believe, an eighth dimensional message that I received in some case. But, you know, I was able to really connect with higher consciousness. And it's a pretty much a direct message. I think I now understand it as I read it. You know, as I relay this to you, it's clearing up a little more. But this is what it says, okay? I don't want you to linger too much on this, but if it tickles your brain and it's something that you can chew on for a little while, or any other thing that I've said here that kind of says, you know, let me just spend this next week or a couple of days just thinking about what he said, specifically that phrase or that thing, or he's made me, or he's opened my consciousness in a way that I can now think of things differently. So you can start moving out of that fog, okay, and have the clarity that you need, you know. All right, so enough of me talking. Here's what they say. We have done many harvests before this one as a task of six-dimensional beings and have been tasked to seventh-dimensional beings by eighth-dimensional beings. What they're saying is eighth-dimensional beings have been tasked by seventh-dimensional beings to continue to do harvests, which is a sixth dimensional task. It took me a while for me to get that, but I'm going to read it to you so you can maybe write it down for yourself and munch on that, because it's a lot of condensed knowledge that I feel is coming down here again. So there's the eighth dimensional group that we spoke of that was able to give out information. It's saying to sixth dimensional beings, we want you to continue the harvest because you're so good at it. All right? That's what it means. And the sixth dimensional beings are going to be in the fifth dimension to continue the cycle of harvests and continue to bring souls up. Remember, you just don't jump 125,000 year cycle into a sixth dimension. It takes time. But as you move along, because I believe that every dimension has its ladders, levels, and I've heard people mention that I'm not going to say how many levels there could be to go up, but you could be, let's say 11 as an example. Fifth dimensional level 1 through 11. You can be in fifth dimension level 3 for a few hundred harvests, a few 125,000 years of enlightenment knowledge that comes from the creator source, so that then you can move to fifth dimensional level 4 as an example. And then that's the task that we have been given. And I want to add in there my own words. I think that those six dimensional beings helping out a fifth dimensional existence have pretty much been guaranteed that they'll move on to a seventh dimensional level of existence, which is the goal. Hopefully that happens, and that's last part is just totally my opinion. Let me read this to you one more time before I let you go. We have done many harvests before, and this one as a task of six-dimensional beings. They tasked six-dimensional beings to do many harvests before. And then again, they say, which is strange, and have been tasked to seven-dimensional beings by eighth-dimensional beings. So it feels like eighth-dimensional beings are giving instruction to seven-dimensional beings, but then give instruction to six-dimensional beings. And then after the fifth dimension, it doesn't quite say much more about that, because the fifth dimension, in reality, the reality is that the fifth dimension, let's assume this is the fifth dimension, this is really that first rung. We were below, we were negative 2 spots for, so to speak, in third. Fifth dimension is our natural state of being. But we had to bring Earth, right? Fifth dimension is a natural state of being. We had to bring Earth from third or fourth to fifth. So that last message doesn't go below fifth. It only goes up to sixth regarding the harvest, which is what their goal is, that are being tasked, being sent as a task to six-dimensional beings to complete. So mind you, this is important. Well, I hope I confused you enough, and please review this video as many times as you need, because I think I might be going back to this in further videos going forward. I will not muddle the information. I'll give it to you as straight as I get it myself. So if something does come down the pike I'll corroborate with what I have and piece together something so that we can all together make sense of what the future holds for everybody. So I'm really excited. We made it into the fifth dimension. I just realized something. I don't want to take any more than 5 minutes of your time, but most recently, I haven't had any sleep, and I'm talking about a few, days ago. And because of that, I've came across a through a message that was pretty much relayed to me. Specifically, they said that the reptilians are saying, We're not a battle anymore. This is a massacre. You're massacring reptilians," is what they're saying. Last night, one of the Sirkar, from the Sirkar Empire, they came, you know. Immediately, I had my sword with me. My sword, I had it. I put my visor down, had my shield up, and I said, "What do you want?" And the first thing we asked, "Don't invade my mind. Don't invade my mind. What do you want?" He said, "We give up. We give up." And to show that he did, he laid himself flat out on the flat. I couldn't say there was a table there, but in higher realms is, he laid flat. And he said, "You can do whatever you want with me. Chop me up right now." But one reptilian came, wanted to join and participate in the conversation, and this individual, this Yakar, pushed him out of the way. And he said, and the next thing that he did was he put both his hands up in front of my face. He put, it's a sign. He put both his hands up in front of my face. And a Pleiadian war battleship, I'm not going to say scientist, came down and took him away, but a Pleiadian ship came in and took him away. As soon as he put his hands up, he just said, "We give up. It's done. We give up." Later, then, throughout that, prior to this happening, I started receiving signs and messages. And basically, what it was saying, free up. Free up. If we stay on Earth, or within the etheric plane, or where there might be functioning in order to manipulate Earth humans, a lot of people don't understand that they can do that. Well, he said, "Don't kill me. Take me as a prisoner. I don't want to be here because it's a massacre. We're giving up. It's over." So he gave himself up. Hopefully this guy will start talking. So I'll leave you with that update. I want you to enjoy the rest of your day. I want you to cheer up because things are looking up. Have a good rest of your day, guys.